Mavis enjoys her work at Ffarquhar Quarry. She has explored every siding and knows the quarry very well. When she was new, Mavis was encouraged to talk to the quarrymen and learn from their experiences. But her driver warned her not to ask about the engine who previously worked at the quarry. "Why? What happened?" Mavis asked. "Never you mind," replied the driver firmly. "Bad things happen to those who tell the story." Mavis thought it best to remain in the dark. But there was someone who did know the story. Thomas. "Whee!" hissed Percy. "Don't be frightened, Thomas, it's only me." "How entertaining you are," grumbled Thomas. "Yes, I thought so. When will this tedium end?" "You always get jumpy at this time of the year. You should know by now I'm not a ghost." Thomas just glared at Percy. "I'd hate to see how scared you'd really be if you really saw a ghost." "Not as scared as you if you knew what was up at Ffarquhar Quarry." "Thomas," interrupted Toby, "I would keep quiet if I were you." "Oh, what is it? Tell me. Go on, Thomas, tell me." "Don't you dare." "Oh, go on." Thomas looked at Toby. "What's the worst that could happen?" he reasoned. Long ago, before Mavis arrived, there was a little engine who used to work at Ffarquhar Quarry. I can't remember what he was called. He wasn't there long when I first worked on the branch line. A quarryman decided to take charge of the engine while his crew were away. He drove the engine straight down a mine shaft. The quarryman jumped clear. There was a loud rumbling sound from inside the shaft. Men ran across to help, but it was too late. The shaft collapsed and buried the little engine alive. He was never found again. But from time to time, he's been seen wandering around the quarry, looking for the quarryman who sealed his fate. Percy was terrified. "Scared?" smirked Thomas. "Oh, no, not at all," said Percy, and he rolled sheepishly away. For the rest of the day, Percy couldn't help thinking about Thomas's story. It can't be real, he thought to himself, but he couldn't convince himself otherwise. Thomas felt very proud of himself. Toby was cross. "You shouldn't take any notice of Thomas," he said. But all the same, Percy decided to talk to Mavis about it. "A ghost? Well, not that I know of. I've worked here for years now, and I've never seen or heard of a ghost." "See, I told you not to listen to Thomas." "But it sounded so real," insisted Percy. "And such a horrible way to go. Oh, imagine the pain. Oh, and all the horror. No wonder it would haunt the quarry after all this time. Are you sure, Mavis, there isn't a ghost?" No, there's nothing at all." Percy felt a little reassured, but still wasn't convinced. He would look at the shaft where the little engine disappeared. Unbeknownst to Percy, Mavis was noticing strange things happening in the quarry. The trucks seemed on edge as they were slowly pushed into different places, seemingly on their own. The air grew colder, and a heavy feeling seemed to linger around the yard. "Something isn't right," muttered Mavis quietly. Meanwhile, Thomas was enjoying having the upper hand. "Whee! Don't be frightened, Percy. It's only me." That night, Mavis couldn't sleep. She couldn't settle. Then she peered through the darkness. Thomas, Percy and Toby were sleeping in the shed. Thomas awoke. He heard a faint puffing sound in the distance. "Who's there?" No one replied. The next morning, Toby and Percy woke to find that Thomas wasn't in the shed. "Where did he go?" asked Percy. "He must have left early," replied Toby. "But Annie and Clarabel are still in the yard." The firelighter came over and whispered something to Toby. Percy, Thomas had to leave early. You'll be taking Annie and Clarabel today?" "It's Thomas, all right." "Yes, he's fine. Do not worry." Now hurry along. Don't be late." Percy did as he was told. Toby found Thomas hiding in the yard amongst the trucks. He looked very shaken up. "I told you not to tell the story," sighed Toby, "but you wouldn't listen." Thomas said nothing. "Although you forgot one important part of the story. Whoever tells the story of the quarry engine in full is visited by the ghost himself. You were lucky. Must be because you're an engine." "Why? How come you know of the story?" "I was told by a quarryman. He was never heard from again. Maybe next time it would be wise to be as silent as the grave," said Toby firmly. Thomas vowed never to speak of the story again. Mavis continues her work at the quarry with no ghostly interruptions. However, she is more wary whenever she is around the mine shaft now, and for good reason. For whoever tells the ghost story will surely receive a visit from the quarry engine. And now I've told you, he'll be after me next.